Have you ever wondered what happens when the rush ends and the real journey begins? Society's obsession with speed versus nature's rhythm of aging, the invisible wisdom of slowing down, the biology of stillness, how the body craves peace, letting go of the race, redefining productivity in later years, embracing presence, living in the now with grace, how slowing down reconnects us to soul, memory, and meaning. A silent revolution. Why the quiet ones after 60 are the real spiritual warriors. Daily life examples, turning routine into ritual and reflection practice. In this moment, I choose to be still. Part 2. The gentle strength of letting go. Letting go is one of the most powerful spiritual practices a soul can embrace, especially in the later years of life. It is not about loss or defeat. It is about release. After a life filled with commitments, expectations, responsibilities, and identities, the soul finally craves simplicity. The weight of the past, if not acknowledged and gently released, can silently press down on the heart. But when you learn to let go with love, you create space for healing, peace, and grace to flow in. Letting go is not forgetting. It is remembering without pain. The past will always be a part of you, but it doesn't have to define your present. Memories are meant to be visited, not lived in. You can cherish a moment without clinging to it. This is the wisdom that comes with age. The understanding that freedom lies not in holding tighter, but in releasing softly. Many people carry regret like a hidden stone in their pocket. Regret for things said or unsaid, choices made or avoided, relationships broken or never formed. But regret serves no purpose other than to cloud the present. The truth is, you did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. That alone is reason enough to forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is a radical act of self-love. It is choosing to no longer punish yourself for being human. Beyond regret, letting go also means loosening the grip on identities and roles. Throughout life, you may have been a parent, a provider, a partner, a worker. These roles, while important, are not your essence. They were garments your soul wore for time. But now, in the later chapters, you are being called to return to the naked truth of who you are. Beyond function, beyond duty. You are a soul on a timeless journey. This realization brings incredible lightness. Letting go can also mean surrendering the need to be right. In relationships, especially long-standing ones, the desire to correct or control can create subtle walls. But peace is far more valuable than being right. When you release the urge to win an argument or prove a point, you gain something far greater: freedom. You become a presence that brings calm, not conflict. Another layer of letting go is emotional. Sometimes emotions become trapped in the body and mind: anger, grief, jealousy, fear. These emotions are not bad. They are messengers. But they are not meant to stay. Allow yourself to feel, express, and then release them. Cry if you must. Write a letter you never sent. Breathe deeply and say aloud, "I let this go." What once felt unbearable begins to dissolve when you stop resisting its departure. Letting go is also about surrendering to the unknown. In youth, the unknown feels threatening. In later life, it can become sacred. You begin to understand that not everything needs to be figured out or controlled. You can sit in uncertainty and still feel safe. There is deep courage in saying, "I don't know, but I trust." This trust becomes your foundation. It is not blind. It is built on experience and inner knowing. And even relationships may shift. Some people walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. Letting go of connections that no longer resonate is not cruel, it is wise. It frees both souls to grow. You honor what was and bless what is yet to come. You don't need to explain or justify your release. The soul knows when it is time. Letting go also applies to time itself, no longer racing, no longer scheduling every minute, no longer measuring your worth by how much you produce. You give yourself permission to slow down, to be still, to savor. A walk becomes a meditation. A cup of tea becomes a sacred ritual. A quiet afternoon becomes a blessing. You begin to truly live in the now, where life actually happens. In this new pace, comparison also fades. There is no need to match someone else's journey. You stop measuring your path against others. Someone else's joy does not diminish yours. Their speed does not invalidate your rhythm. You are moving in divine timing, and that is enough. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a practice, a devotion. Every day you are invited to release something small, a thought, a grudge, a pressure. And in that release, you become lighter, freer, more aligned with who you truly are. You begin to understand that life is not a collection of achievements, but a process of becoming. And in becoming, you are constantly shedding what no longer serves your highest good. This is the real strength of the later years. The ability to let go with grace, not because you are weak, but because you are wise. When you let go, you return home to yourself. You return to the quiet center that has always been there, waiting beneath the noise. And in that space, you discover a peace that cannot be taken, a joy that doesn't need reason, and a love that is no longer seeking, but simply being. Part 3. Embracing the art of inner stillness. There is a deep and silent space within every human being. A space beyond noise, thought, and emotion. In the younger years, this space is often drowned out by ambition, responsibilities, and a constant push to be somewhere else, do something more. But after 60, life gently invites you to return inward, to discover the sanctuary that has always existed inside you. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of awareness. It is the moment when you are no longer reacting to the outside world, but simply observing it. It is the gentle pause between breaths, the silence between heartbeats. In this sacred space, truth begins to rise, not as a thought, but as a knowing. And this knowing can only emerge when the mind quiets, when the body rests, and when the soul is heard. For most of life, people are taught to associate value with activity. To do more is to be more. To achieve is to matter. To rest is to waste time. But this belief is a misunderstanding of the soul's design. The soul does not grow in chaos. It grows in calm. The deepest transformation occurs not during moments of rush, but in the sacred moments of silence. After 60, the body begins to slow, and instead of resisting this natural rhythm, you begin to honor it. You listen more. You observe more. You breathe deeper. You take your time. And in doing so, you begin to feel connected to something greater than yourself. A quiet intelligence that holds all life in perfect balance. Stillness is not something you find outside. It is something you remember within. It may begin with a simple practice. Sitting in silence for 5 minutes, watching the sunrise without a phone, drinking tea without distraction. These moments are small, but they are powerful. In them, you are reminded that being is enough. This stillness also gives rise to clarity. In the silence, old patterns begin to dissolve. You begin to see where you were chasing shadows and where you were already whole. Answers that once seemed far away begin to emerge from the quiet corners of your consciousness. There is no effort, no forcing, only receiving. The beauty of inner stillness is that it is always available. You don't need to travel or meditate perfectly. You simply need to allow. You can be still in the garden, on a porch, in your favorite chair, or even in the middle of a noisy world. The stillness is not around you. It is within you. And once you reconnect with it, you will never feel lost again. Stillness also brings a kind of joy that is subtle but profound. It's not the joy of excitement or entertainment. It's the joy of simply being alive. The joy of birdsong in the morning, of warm sunlight on your skin, of soft silence in a room. These small joys, once overlooked, become deeply nourishing. You may begin to notice how the world rushes, but you no longer feel the need to join in. You become the calm center in the middle of a storm. You no longer react from urgency. You respond from presence. This is not something to be taught. It is something you become. As you settle into stillness, you also begin to notice your own breath more often. Breathing becomes sacred. Each inhale is a gift. Each exhale a release. You understand that life is not something to conquer, but something to breathe through. The breath becomes your anchor, your prayer, your reminder that in this moment, everything is okay. In stillness, fear begins to fade, because fear lives in the future or the past. But stillness exists only in the now, and the now, when truly felt, is safe. It holds you with compassion. It whispers that you are exactly where you need to be. You don't need to know what's next. You don't need to control what's coming. In stillness, you surrender the illusion of control and gain something far more powerful. Trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in life. Trust in the timing of everything. This inner stillness is also where your true wisdom resides. Not the wisdom from books or others, but the wisdom of your own lived experience. When you become still, you can hear it. You can feel the subtle knowing that comes not from thought, but from the quiet voice of your soul. You may even notice that others begin to feel calm around you. Your presence becomes healing. Your energy becomes peaceful. Without trying, you become a guide, not through words, but through the way you move through life. This is the power of stillness. It ripples out. It transforms not just you, but the world around you. In this chapter of life, stillness is not optional, it is essential. It is your medicine, it is your teacher, it is your home. And the more you rest in it, the more you remember who you truly are. A soul, eternal and free, resting gently in the arms of a silent and loving universe. Part 4. Reconnecting with the body through presence. After 60, the relationship with the body begins to shift. For much of life, the body may have been taken for granted, a tool, a vehicle, a means to get things done. But with age comes a deeper invitation to listen to the body, to honor it, to be present with it as a sacred temple of your soul. This stage of life is not a decline, but a return to awareness. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every slower movement is not a flaw, but a signpost pointing toward presence. The body no longer moves as quickly, not to limit you, but to teach you how to truly feel each step, each breath, each moment. Slowness becomes your ally. Pain and discomfort may sometimes arise, not as punishments, but as messengers. They ask you to slow down, to pay attention, to nurture. Rather than fight your body or wish it were different, you begin to hold it with gratitude. This body has carried you through decades. It has laughed, cried, healed, and endured. It deserves love, not judgment. Simple acts become sacred rituals. Stretching in the morning becomes a prayer of gratitude. Drinking water becomes a moment of nourishment. Rest becomes a form of wisdom, not laziness. You begin to move not for appearance, but for vitality, not to impress others, but to feel alive and connected to your own being. there is also a new intimacy that forms between you and your body. You no longer measure its worth by how it looks, but by how it feels. You begin to notice subtle sensations, the warmth of your hands, the rhythm of your breath, the pulse in your chest. These are signs of life, presence. You're here, now, and that is enough. This reconnection also brings healing. When you stop judging your body, it begins to relax. When you stop pushing it beyond its limits, it begins to cooperate. Healing doesn't always mean cure. Sometimes it simply means coming into harmony. Your body may not be perfect, but it can be at peace. And peace is the greatest healing of all. You may find joy in gentle movement, walking slowly in nature, stretching by candlelight, practicing deep breathing. These small acts restore balance. They remind you that you are not separate from your body. You are one with it. And when you treat it with reverence, it responds with trust. There is also a newfound freedom in embracing your natural self. You stop chasing youth. You stop hiding your age. You realize that beauty is not behind you. It is within you. A quiet confidence begins to bloom. You no longer seek approval through appearance. Your dignity, your radiance, your wisdom, they shine through without needing to be seen. Touch becomes sacred again. The feel of your own hands on your heart, the texture of soft fabric on your skin, the warmth of sunlight on your shoulders. All of it becomes part of your mindfulness practice. The body is not a burden. It is a living, breathing miracle. And the more present you become, the more you see its divinity. Illness or physical changes are no longer feared. Instead, they are welcomed as opportunities to grow in compassion for yourself and for others. You learn to speak kindly to your body. Instead of saying, "I hate my knees," or "my back is a problem," you begin to say, "Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for trying. I'm listening now." These words are powerful. They change the relationship completely. Aging becomes a soft unveiling. As the outer layers fade, the inner light becomes brighter. People begin to feel your energy more than your appearance. They are drawn to your calm, your acceptance, your presence. And this begins with how you treat your own body, with love, not resistance. You begin to care for your body, not out of fear, but out of devotion. You eat foods that nourish. You rest when tired. You move with grace. You speak with tenderness. You stop asking your body to be what it was and instead allow it to become what it is meant to be in this sacred season. You also release comparison. You understand that everybody ages differently. You are not meant to look like someone else or move like someone younger. You are meant to inhabit this body fully and lovingly, just as it is. And in this full presence, something magical happens. The body, mind, and soul begin to align. You no longer feel fragmented. You feel whole. You are not chasing healing. You are living it. You are not striving for perfection. You are resting in completeness. The beauty of slowing down is that it allows you to reconnect with your body in the most profound way, not as something to be fixed, but as something to be honored. In your stillness, you feel more, and in feeling more, you awaken to the sacred rhythm of your own life. Part 5. Rediscovering the sacred in everyday life. When you slow down after 60, something extraordinary begins to unfold. Ordinary moments start to shimmer with a quiet sacredness. The things you once rushed past now invite you in. A steaming cup of tea, the soft rustle of leaves outside your window, the fading light of evening. These are no longer background noise. They are the language of the soul. In youth, the focus is often on milestones, graduations, promotions, accomplishments. Life is a series of goals to chase. But as the pace softens with age, the perspective shifts. It's no longer about what you achieve, but how deeply you experience what's already around you. You begin to see the divine in the details. Washing dishes becomes an act of mindfulness. Folding clothes becomes a moment of gratitude. Watering plants becomes a quiet conversation with life itself. Nothing is too small to matter. Nothing is beneath your awareness. The sacred hides in plain sight. This awakening to the sacred does not require religion or ceremony. It simply requires presence. When you give your full attention to something, you transform it. A simple walk turns into a moving meditation. Watching clouds becomes a spiritual experience. Even silence becomes rich with meaning. You might find yourself moved to tears by things that once seemed insignificant. A smile from a stranger, the distant call of a bird, the way sunlight dances on the floor. This is not weakness. This is awakening. You are seeing with the eyes of the soul, no longer distracted by noise, but tuned in to the quiet music of life. Slowing down helps you create sacred space in your home as well. You may begin to declutter, not just physically, but energetically. You let go of what no longer serves. You surround yourself with simplicity. You choose beauty over busyness. Your home becomes a sanctuary, not of extravagance, but of peace. Even your conversations change. You no longer seek to be the loudest voice. You speak slower, listen deeper, and connect from the heart. You're not trying to impress, you're trying to understand. This shift brings healing into your relationships. Love becomes less about grand gestures and more about consistent presence. Time itself begins to feel different. It's not slipping away, it's expanding. One moment fully lived feels richer than a whole day rushed through. You begin to realize that depth is more nourishing than speed. That the quality of life is not in the quantity of things, but in the tenderness with which you touch each moment. This rediscovery of the sacred is perhaps one of the greatest gifts of aging. You return to the innocence you had as a child, the ability to be enchanted by life. But now it's combined with wisdom. You understand the fragility of everything, and that makes it all the more precious. You may begin to practice small rituals, lighting a candle before bed, offering gratitude before meals, sitting in silence each morning. These rituals are not about rules, they're about reverence. They anchor you in meaning. They bring your spirit home. You begin to realize that you don't need more to feel fulfilled. You need less distraction, less hurry, less noise. And with that less, you discover so much more. More peace, more presence, more connection, more love. Even challenges take on a different tone. Instead of resisting every difficulty, you begin to approach it with curiosity and grace. You ask, what is life trying to teach me here? And you listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. This way of living brings a quiet contentment. Not because life is perfect, but because your heart is open. You are no longer trying to control life, you are allowing it. And in that allowance, you find freedom. If this message touched something inside you, if you felt a sense of peace, remembrance, or clarity, then this space is for you. Subscribe to this channel, Quiet Mind, Powerful Soul, and allow yourself to be guided deeper into the gentle wisdom of life after 60. Share in the comments. What is one simple thing that felt sacred to you today? Your reflection may be the light someone else needs.